death to the juice. Okay? Orange juice. I don't know. Okay? But we all know what I mean. Okay? YouTube, don't
Yep.
strike me down.
YouTube,
Radical.
we're not. This is no, no. Let's be clear. This is very risky. YouTube, we are saying we are exposing other people's anti-Semitism. We are calling them out. We are exposing them. We are against their views. Okay, this is not
Mhm.
our views. We're
Mhm.
quoting other people. But go ahead.
Yeah, and this is all based on reporting that has come out recently and court cases that are forthcoming and allegations. So, take it how you will. A radical protester's home filled with guns and terror flags. In August 2024, tensions flared at George Mason University, which is a very important university for those who don't know in the US, when radical protesters defaced the campus with spray painted calls for a student intifada. At the center of the controversy were sisters Jena and Noor Chanaa, leaders of the university's Student for Justice in Palestine chapter, or SJP for short, and they're accused of orchestrating the incident. So basically, they're accused of orchestrating vandalism and defacement to the campus property, which caused thousands of dollars of damage. What seemed to be a case of vandalism quickly escalated into something more alarming. When police searched the Chanaa family home in November, so this November, they uncovered a shocking arsenal: firearms, piles of ammunition, flags of Hamas and Hezbollah, and chilling signs declaring death to America and death to the Jews. Authorities seized the weapons under Virginia's red flag laws, citing concerns that the sister's brother, Mohammad Chanaa, posed a danger due to his connection to terroristic materials. Although Mohammed later petitioned successfully to regain his firearms, the fallout for Jena and Noor was swift and severe. George Mason University suspended the SJP chapter on campus and banned the sisters from campus for 4 years. So they're not allowed to enter the property for 4 years. Under their leadership, the SJP chapter had openly endorsed Hamas. What began as a campus protest unearthed deeper questions about extremism, safety, and the line between free speech and incitement. So, this is really important because I've talked a lot recently about a report that I have read by the security analyst Ryan Mauro at Capital Research Center. And the name of his report is called Marching Towards Violence. I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in learning more about this because he documents how basically he examines the rhetoric and materials and publications of over 150 organizations involved in the domestic pro-Palestine, really anti-Israel movement, right? And he has a very high standard in his report of what qualifies as pro-terrorism. He wanted to make this an unassailable definition of what is pro-terrorism. And this is a definition that is used by like the FBI, right? It's a specific high bar criteria. And then he just approached this report by just looking through the statements and materials of over 100 to 150 groups that are involved in promoting a pro-Palestine agenda. Just like, okay, let's look at who the big players are. Let's look at who the big players are and see what they say. And he found that in this movement, over 150 groups make statements and can be categorized as pro terrorism, explicitly in favor of terrorism, just on the basis of what they publish, who they support, who they admire, endorsements, all sorts of stuff. So basically, like, and if you I read the 150-page report in full, and it becomes very clear that from top to bottom, all of the major players down to minor players in this movement explicitly support terrorism. To the point that when I had the opportunity to ask him, like, "Oh, are there any organizations that actually don't meet this standard?" He like had a hard time coming up with examples and could instead only come up with examples where he found that some of these organizations are explicitly, particularly Muslim organizations, are explicitly warning their members to not openly endorse Hamas. He said that even some of the groups that are in favor of the two-state solution support and offer rhetorical support for violent and terroristic means to do so. So after reading this report in full and even going through basically the entire appendix of the report, you come to what?
You did all of that? You read the whole report, including the appendix?
Yeah, because I'm a full-blown nerd, okay?
Okay,
It
okay.
becomes very clear that it is like just terrorism all the way down. And that escalating people, moving people from the periphery down to the spearhead of the logical conclusion is domestic terrorism, is the pathway of this movement. It becomes very, very clear. And this instance with these sisters or this family is a very clear example of this to me. It's a very when I was reading this story that came out recently, I was like, "Oh my god. This is exactly what was discussed in this report. This is the logical conclusion." And so let me back up a little bit and explain a few things. So these two sisters, based on their social media activity and some of the things that they say, seem to come from a Palestinian family. And that they had all these materials. So basically, because of what they were alleged to have done in terms of in encouraging and leading, inciting the vandalism, whatever, that led to this larger investigation, right? In the larger investigation, when they got the warrant to search their house, revealed all this other stuff. I'm when it talks about how there were materials, yeah, they found pro-terror materials, including Hamas and Hezbollah flags and signs that read "Death to America" and "Death to the Jews," according to court documents and sources familiar with the case. When it comes to those "Death to America," "Death to the J people," I will say signs. I would wager that those signs are Houthi signs. That's what I would guess. I would guess that those are Houthi signs. Because I mean that's like literally the slogan. Um, there was some other details. Oh, you know what? It's great, Armin. You know what's great? Um, you know who's coming to the defense of these sisters? Guess.
Hassanabi?
No, it's an organization.
Wait. CARE?
CARE. CARE
Oh.
is defending these students. The Council on Islamic Relations is saying that
Wow.
according to them, these girls are being targeted. They're being targeted for engaging in anti-genocide events. They're being targeted for engaging in anti-genocide events on their
What the
campus.
fuck? They had guns and anti-Semitic chant.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't this be the end of CARE? I mean, these are obviously terrorists, and CARE is saying that they're being targeted.
Well, CARE is one
Like
of
it
these
would.
groups that is pro-terrorism. CARE is one
I
of
know,
these
but
groups.
this is too obvious. This
Yeah.
should be the end of. Oh my fucking god!
I mean, Armin, what's more obvious is that their freaking ED, Nawad, whatever his name is, was celebrating October 7th very shortly after it happened. You know, that is actually why, because I don't know if people know this, CARE had very cozy relationships with the White House. CARE was kind of the go-to people for like the
Yeah, yeah.
Obama and Biden administration. And it
Biden
was
went and gave a hadith from Muhammad to CARE. Like Biden went
yeah,
and
that
read
was
a hadith, a very bad hadith. I remember.
and
As
But it was finally those statements from their ED, their executive director, Nawad, that caused the White House to finally cut ties and like move away from a relationship with them. So let me read a little bit of CARE's statement on these students because I can't deal. The Council on Islamic American Relationships, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization, today condemned the draconian police raid on the family home of two Palestinian American students at George Mason University who participated in anti-genocide events on campus and demanded that the university rescind its draconian measures targeting the students. Oh yeah, it's so draconian to ban students that committed crime and vandalism on campus property from allowing them on that property. It's so draconian to not
and
allow
how are they
students to damage
anti-genocidal?
property on like, oh yeah, we're gonna trespass them. Like what?
And also, how are they anti-genocidal? To me, it seems like they are planning a genocide based on what the content that they're collecting.
Dude, it's so
Um,
crazy. So basically, the school's SJP chapter got banned because of this. And this is really important because again, going back to these reports that I'm just absorbing in my brain that I finally have an excuse to dump on all of y'all is that the national body of SJP has actually declared themselves to be part of Hamas.
what?
I want to emphasize this once again. The national body has declared themselves to be part of Hamas. Um Here is an example. The SJP's Day of Resistance toolkit. So these are PDFs that they circulate as to teach people about how to engage in all these direct actions that further their goals. Toolkits, their instruction manuals. This states, quote, "We as Palestinian students in exile are part of this movement."
So
Capital,
they're terrorists.
all caps. We are part of this movement, not in solidarity with this movement. This declaration, made in the context of celebrating and supporting the October 7th attacks, unequivocally aligns them with Hamas, which is an acronym for the Islamic resistance movement. So when they talk about the movement, when they talk about the resistance, they are talking about Hamas, just not using the name Hamas. Again, the significance of declaring themselves to be part of this cannot be overstated. From my notes, they are not simply expressing solidarity, they are claiming to be a component and receiving direction from, receiving inspiration from Hamas itself, and doing so on the behalf of Hamas. So basically, you can easily make the case that universities have terrorist designated organizations operating on their campuses and on their property. So
Yeah,
this is
I'm
why there is like a national move to get SJP banned and prosecuted.
I mean, if Susie, if somebody expresses that we're part of ISIS, do you know how big of a deal that would be? That would be a terrorist cell.
Yeah.
That would be considered by everybody with two fucking neurons, at least, a terrorist cell within the United States. So how is that pledging allegiance to ISIS? So how is this any fucking difference? Different? Like, this is Hamas.
Yeah. So
Why is this not being treated as much as aggressively?
because there is a need to do a lot of education. There is a need to educate journalists about the nature of this group because journalists are so overworked and underpaid that they're when they're reporting on the activities of SJP, they're not mentioning stuff like this, right? So they're giving a false legitimacy or impression of false legitimacy to the public. Um, Another instance is like basically, for I believe I would have to double check the report because SJP is allowed to operate within the American nonprofit charity system. Um, I believe I would have to double check that they have a fiscal sponsor and the fiscal sponsor of their activities is American Muslims for Palestine. And being a fiscal sponsor means that they basically, one 501c3 lends them the tax-free status, and then they'd have different and lesser reporting burdens. So I know that American Muslims for Palestine is being investigated in the state of Virginia and being probed for a lot of these activities. And basically, there's legislation that people are calling the Kill the Nonprofits bill, House Bill 5949 something. It's not killing nonprofits. This is all leftist progressive lies. This is a bill that recently passed the House and is go to the Senate. And it would basically strip the nonprofit status of terrorist supporting organizations. And groups like the ACLU are saying that this is against Palestinian dissent and all this shit. It's a violation of free speech, all this shit. It's not. But we don't even need new legislation like that. We just need to enforce the legislation that we already have. Because on the basis of the activities of what SJP does and what, by extension, their fiscal sponsor allows, they're already committing activities that render them in violation of why they're allowed to be a 501c3. So basically, it requires people directing attention to the bodies that can take action against them about how they're already violating the law. But something like that is a slow-moving beast. I mean, we're talking about the U.S. Treasury Department, the IRS, like all this stuff. Those are big beasts. So let me quickly remind myself what's going to go forward with this case. So the SJP chapter on this campus got banned. They called themselves the GMU. That's an acronym for the University Intifada on Instagram. So that tells you a lot right there. They got banned from campus. Did they get expelled or suspended? That's what's not clear to me.
Shouldn't he be in jail?
Yeah, I am not entirely sure what's going to happen with all these materials that were found.
Oh God, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, the statement from CARE is
insane. You're telling me they're not in jail?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, well. You know what? I give up. Fuck this shit. God damn it, man.
Dude. Can I just read this statement from CARE that is so insane? Such alleged draconian measures used by law enforcement fit a pattern of nationwide attempts to silence or intimidate those who seek to end the Israeli genocide in Gaza and the Biden administration's complicity in that genocide. The reported refusal to show a search warrant is a giant red flag, as are reports that the students were suspended without any accusations of civil or student violations. What are you talking about? I mean, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but they were alleged to commit vandalism and damage to campus property. Finally, such a raid for allegedly spray painting property raises reasonable questions about what is happening. What? Such a raid for allegedly spray painting property raises reasonable questions about what is happening, unless George Mason University administration has decided anti-genocide viewpoints require special treatment outside normal due process. These measures should be rescinded. Unless George Mason administration has decided anti-genocide viewpoints require treatment outside normal due process, these measures should be rescinded. Anti-genocide viewpoints? They're spray painting shit about intifadas and terrorism. Yeah, that requires action outside normal due process. What the? I have to read this multiple times to let it sink in.
calling for intifada is not only not anti-genocidal, it is actually an invitation to genocide. What the fuck are these people talking about? Holy shit, man. We live in the opposite world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, Sarah is saying, yeah, death to America, anti-genocide, death to Israel, anti-genocide. Sure. Oh my god.
Oh, the cat
Intifada,
lady.
intifada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cat lady is saying, Susanna, can you do a short history of care? Would love to know. I've been thinking about one day maybe going through and doing a segment about how CARE is an unindicted co conspirator in the Holy Land terror financing case. Where, for those who don't know, the Holy Land Foundation was a charity in the United States that was prosecuted for literally funding Hamas. And CARE was an unindicted co conspirator in that case. Um, and that happened like in 2009 or something. Um, it's yeah, it's absolutely
Wait,
insane.
Susie, I'm still confused. How are they saying this is not justified when they found weapons? And like, how's that? Huh?
Because
Doesn't
we
that
know their
suggest?
playbook, Armin. We know their
Oh,
playbook. This is part of their playbook. How are they saying this? They're not trying to be reasonable. This is part of their
oh.
playbook.
Like the police was like, I think the police that did the search, they're like, huh? Look at you know the meme where the kid is like
Yeah.
showing the things. They should be like guns, terror flags, anti-Semitic chants, call for intifada. How is this not justified? Huh? 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 How is this not? What are you talking about? Are we talking about the same thing? Shit, man. Fucking
Yeah.
hell, this is so weird.
It's oh my god, it's so crazy. Because no, they're contesting whether that raid that led to the discovery of those materials was valid to begin with. That's
I
their whole
mean,
framing.
the guns would say otherwise. The results, you shall know them by the fruits of their labor. Typical
Facts.
biblical. Yeah.
But I mean,
God.
Armin, we're allowed to have guns in this country.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not saying this is, you need to have valid suspicion. The guns next to call death to Israel, death to America, calling for intifada. So yeah, you're allowed to have guns. But if I find guns, for example, in your home next to plans of robbing a fucking bank, I'm like, as the police, I have legitimate grounds to be like, yeah, we need to investigate this fucking shit. Like this shows that this raid was justified. you
Yeah.
know
Like, I'm
so
worried.
having guns next to plans for intifada, I mean, I think that was a raid well done.
Hmm. Um, so let's go to some super chats.
Wait, before we
Oh,
go to super chat, you know how you keep saying uh death to Jews? Every time we
hmm.
say that, I have to show this meme. So every time I just love this meme so much. Because this guy said Jews not because he was trying to not get demonetized. He just didn't know how to spell. But
He
this
got
is such an
confused.
old meme, and I just love it, and I have to show it every time.
It's
Anyways,
okay. We all get confused.
anyways,
Um,
let's go.
so yeah, anyways, I hope this was informative to you guys and serves as a case in point. You know, it'll be interesting to see how the court cases and stuff move forward. Um, but based on the evidence available currently, I find this a very interesting
Oh,
example of exactly the report that I was just studying. So,
wait! We forgot for the first news. We should look at the comments that
oh,
the
yeah.
highlighted. Yes, yeah. We forgot. We forgot. Sorry about that. What is this first one?
Oh,
No,
this
this
is
is just
just
the
like
news.
explaining the statement, the explaining the news.
And here the
Um,
yeah.
oh, yeah, this person is saying the real world will be a rude awakening for them when they leave the tolerance of their institutional bubble. I mean,
I
yeah,
also
but there is also a lot of support for this in the real world, to
yeah.
be honest.
There's that. Mhm. What about
Um,
this one?
Yeah, someone saying, "Gee, I hope their name doesn't pop up on a Google search for future jobs." Yeah,
That's a
that's gonna be
fair.
a problem. Although, to be fair, I mean, as long as you stay within this ecosystem, that's not dissuasive.
I just hope that guys remember the polls show that most Americans are pro-Israeli still. So let's just hope that this is why you need to support channels like ours, okay? Because you guys, all of us together, we need to make sure that this ecosystem doesn't grow until they could, because if they grow enough, they could create their own parallel society and keep supporting each other and remain self-sustaining. So that's a major concern. We need to we need to this bullshit needs a responding to, and that's what one reason this channel requires more support from you guys. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyways, what's this one?
Um, ba 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 ba. Yeah, Sarah, I would enjoy that as well. Another person responded saying, "I could not be happier. We need to remove this plague that is spreading through the West and not normalized and not only normalized not ideology, but action and but encouraged as if it is part of liberalism. Sick." Lauren is on point here.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't
Good.
disagree. Um, Kenny T gave a super chat. Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Thank you.
Um, Rafa is saying, I find it hilarious that they pretend these girls are considered brown when they're more white passing than many Ashkenazis. I hate the whole Jews equals white BS. I mean, yeah, you know what's funny is actually I've seen interviews of Linda Sarsour talking about how before she became a hijabi, she called herself just looking like any other white girl in the street.
Mm.
So like people as insidious as Linda Sarsour are like openly they know that, right? Um God,
I
that
get
woman is I'm so glad she's basically
I don't know
irrelevant
why I
now.
get so annoyed with this still being part of the discussion. Like skin color, like I fucking have no like. Oh, like I don't know. I just feel like are we still dealing with this? I mean,
Yeah.
Islam being a meme, I understand it because as insane as it is, it's a very well designed, powerful meme. So even though it's a cancer that we want to eliminate at some point, I could see when you study it why it's such a powerful cancer. But as soon as people when skin color is like, how is this still relevant? I don't understand it. Anyways,
Honestly, on either side of the discussion, on either side of the discussion, like even being like,
yeah,
oh, how are they considered brown? Blah blah blah. Like I don't care. I'm so over
I
it.
don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I actually, to be fair, I understand why this is still relevant because the human brain is so visual. That might be like
yeah,
it's like you know how dogs are so smell oriented. Humans are so visual that I could see why, if they want to categorize people, visual elements would have as such a major,
yeah.
you know, factor. Yeah,
Um, okay, so the next super chat. Oh, you had a statement from Frida Logic. Please repeat the name of the
I did.
report or link it in the
Oh yeah,
comments. Atheist Republic. I really want to read it. Okay, so I will put a link to this in the chat. Um, the full. Whoops. The full name of the report is Marching Towards Violence, the Domestic Anti-Israeli Movement, Protest Movement. And it's by Ryan Mauro at Capital Research Center. I can't even imagine how much work he put into this. Um, and can I say that I was so impressed by this report because for people who don't know, I used to like be Antifa, and there are sources and organizations that he looks at and examines this in this report that are exactly what I was exposed to when I was part of the movement. So, like, from someone that was on the inside, to the point that he found a specific source that I have been looking for over a year about making a specific statement from a specific organization that I have not been able to find, and he found it again in this report. I was like, "Oh my god, this is." I literally like exclaimed when I was reading it. I was like, "Oh my god, this is what I've been looking for. This is this is it. This is the real deal." Um.
Yeah, people
Uh.
don't know. People are saying she was in Antifa. Yeah, Susie is ex Antifa. This is why she knows cult psychology. So after she left Antifa, she went and studied cult psychology to figure out what the hell has happened to
Going
her.
on.
And this is why, yeah, and also this is why she's so good as research, because she was trying to explain her own past, doing all of this research. Yeah.
Um. Okay, so we had another super chat by A saying it's not taken seriously because our government is infiltrated by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Infiltrated by Muslim. I would say Muslim Brotherhood has found ways to. They have people within the government that are able to pull some levers. They have lobbying capabilities. They have advisors. Okay. However, infiltrated would suggest that the other side doesn't have people in the government as well. So the government is like multifactorial. I think this is simplifying the situation. So we have pro-Muslim Brotherhood people, and it's also when it comes to Islamism, Muslim Brotherhood is one brand of Islamism. We have other
Yeah.
brands of Islamism that is anti-Muslim Brotherhood and that are inside the government as well. And we also have Islamism people within the governments. So instead of acting like it's just a one factor thing that is like one that is controlling the government, the more accurate way of looking at this is a competition of different people with different agendas and different level of power of influencing, constantly competing with each other. Even when it comes to the Islamic influence in the government, there are multiple different groups with multiple different agendas. So, for example, we have the Vilayat Faqih Isna Ashari Islamic influence as well, right? Not just Muslim Brotherhood, right? Which is competing with that. And we have also people who are anti-Islamist that have influence in the government that are trying to push back on this. So it's a little bit more complicated. But if your point is that they have influence within the government, then yes, your point is correct.
Well, and to be honest, my understanding is that the Muslim Brotherhood is less influential than it used to be, and actually, who's most influential in our institution nowadays is
Yes.
something called the Safa Network. Maybe I
Oh,
should do some segments on that based on
yeah.
conversations with people
And
I know in
also,
the counter Islamist space.
well, I mean, to be honest, if you consider Qatar to be Muslim Brotherhood, okay, then that would be a major influence, right?
Yes.
In our
Qatar
government.
has like bought out
But I
entire
was
universities.
yes. So, but I would, when it comes to different brands of Islamism, when it comes to their influence over U.S. government, I would consider the most concerning one to be the hidden lobby groups by the Islamic Republic inside the U.S. government. I would be more concerned about that than even Muslim Brotherhood. The different advisors that they have managed to somehow get in to the U.S. government, those are the most problematic ones.
I'm also very concerned about Qatari influence and some Turkish influence as well.
Yeah, Turkish would also be Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Um okay, so Gasian gave a super chat. By the way, Asian American got married. Congratulations. Um, so Gasian gave a super chat saying the Second Amendment organized militia defense. I don't know. I don't know if they could. I don't know. I don't know if they could render that defense. Um, I need to go back and double check if they are actually being prosecuted for anything specific right now. Yeah, that's not entirely clear to me. Like the brother that was found to have a handgun, he was not charged with the crime. Um
Yeah, so
Apparently, the local police are investigating this whole incident with the FBI.
Mhm.
So it remains to be seen how this will continue. Um, so Gajan, excuse me, Kenny gave a super sticker. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. Oh, you wanted to highlight this from Kelvin?
Yeah, so Kelvin is correct that so one of the main institutions that was basically the indirect lobby of the Islamic Republic is NIAC, and Kelvin is correctly pointing out that NIAC and Islamic Republic lobby are not as influential as they used to be. Yes, but you're completely correct, and they're going to be even less influential when Trump comes to power. They're going to be much less influential. However, that doesn't mean that we should not consider them a concern. And one group right now that is taking full Islamic group that is taking full advantage of the popularity of the Iranian people against the government is another Islamic group that is unfortunately very popular among Republicans. So if you want to blame the Democrats for supporting an Islamic group, their support like a group that is helping the Islamic Republic, NIAC would be the main group that you should be concerned about. But to be honest, the Republicans, they're also to be blamed because many Republicans are supporting another Islamic group, which is the MEK. Ted Cruz just recently gave a speech in an MEK event. So remember, guys, MEK is an Islamic Marxist group that is against the Islamic Republic, and a lot of fucking Republicans go and support them because they think they claim that they're supporting the Iranian people against the Islamic Republic. The MEK is a terrorist organization. Just remember that that's the main Islamic Iranian group that the Republicans are supporting. There have been ever since the Master Revolution, and even before, there have been so many Republicans constantly going to their events, giving speech there. The MEK has a lot of money, and they're using it for lobbying the U.S. government, and Republicans are falling for them, and they act like the MEK is the liberation front for the Iranian people. The Iranian people hate the MEK, and I don't know why the Republicans constantly use them as the brand of the group that is the freedom fighters for Iranian people. Uh, the Republicans need to get their shit together. The main brand that you need to support when it comes to supporting the Iranian people is Reza Pahlavi, not the MEK. So I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Why so many Republicans? I mean, we got Pompeo supporting the MEK. We had Giuliani supporting the MEK. We had Mike Pence supporting the MEK. We had who's Mr. Mustache? Why I keep forgetting his name? The epic mustache neocon. Now Ted
John
Cruz is
Bolton?
supporting John Bolton supporting the
No,
MEK.
really?
Yeah, fucking yeah. And now we have Ted Cruz supporting the MEK. This is a group that has less than 0.5% support, if any support in Iran. People hate them sometimes more than even the Islamic Republic. And now they're
Facts.
making their leader Mariam Rejavi the face of the fucking opposition. This is an Islamic terrorist group. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.